Arcadian Vanguard presents The Wrestling News in your daily wrestling newscast for Friday, October 14th, 2022. Good morning. I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin today with some breaking news overnight out of Japan. Tokyo Sports is reporting that former New Japan Pro wrestler Katsuya Kinamura passed away of unknown causes on Wednesday, October 12th. He was 36 years old. According to the story, Kinamura felt unwell on Wednesday and called an ambulance to go to the hospital. His condition worsened quickly after that. Kinamura, known for his incredibly muscular physique, became one of the more unique athletes that the New Japan Pro Wrestling dojo system has produced. A standout amateur, between 2009 and 2011, Kinamura won 3 consecutive national championships in Greco-Roman wrestling at 96 kilograms. He represented Japan twice at the World Championships in 2009 and 2010, but never made it past the round of 32. In June of 2011, Kinamura received a 2-year ban from the Japanese anti-doping agency after testing positive that May for the anabolic steroid drostanolone. The drug is usually used to treat women who have undergone breast cancer treatment, and Kinamura claimed it came from taking supplements purchased overseas. As a result, Kinamura was rendered ineligible for the 2011 World Championships as well as the 2012 Summer Olympics in London. In July 2015, Kinamura made his fighting debut at Ganryujima 2 in a show promoted by former K1 boss Sadaharu Tanikawa and featuring fighters of different disciplines. Kinamura defeated Mongolian sumo wrestler Undral Bolbatatar by knockout in 136 seconds. Joining New Japan Pro Wrestling in 2016, due to his notoriety, unique look, and age, Kinamura didn't spend anywhere near the amount of time in the dojo system as most incoming pro students would. After 2 high-profile amateur matches against Tomoyuki Oka on New Japan's Lionsgate shows, Kinamura made his official professional wrestling debut on March 13, 2017, teaming with Oka in a losing effort against Tama Tonga and Tangaloa. Oka would later become better known as the Great Okan. In January 2018, Kinamura was placed in a 7-match trial series where he faced a string of established New Japan stars such as Jay White and Yuji Nagata. Kinamura was winless going into his final trial match against Manabu Nakanishi on March 6, 2018, but the match never ended up taking place. On March 4, 2018, during a tag team match with Nakanishi against Tomohiro Ishii and Toru Yano, Kinamura suffered a concussion. Due to New Japan's lack of public comment on the issue, rumors swirled about Kinamura's condition and if he'd be able to return. Quietly, Kinamura officially left the company when his contract lapsed at the end of January 2019. After he left wrestling, Kinamura became a competitive bodybuilder and trainer. In November of 2021, Kinamura fought Bobby Olagun for the Rizin MMA promotion in Japan, but lost via rear naked choke in the second round. Once again, former New Japan Pro wrestler Katsuya Kinamura has passed away at the age of 36. On yesterday's edition of her podcast, The Sessions, Renee Paquette addressed her debut with AEW. During the 47-minute podcast titled Renee is All Elite, Paquette went on to discuss how her opportunity with AEW came about, referencing her husband, AEW World Champion Jon Moxley, and his relationship with Tony Khan.
A lot of it was, this is probably going to sound bad, and I'm sure people are going to take this out of context, but honestly, a lot of it was talking to Jon, of being like, man, like, I want to get back I want to be back in the wrestling world. I miss being around it. I miss doing stuff. And, you know, as he's like thinking about like what the shows look like and his role on the shows and all that, like most of our conversations were internally between Jon and I, about figuring out like, yeah, I want to do something. I want to come back. I don't know what that conversation is. How are we going to go about that kind of thing? And him and Tony are obviously very close. They spend tons of time talking about things. So I think it was more so like them talking about it, because I don't know if it was like, I think a lot of people just thought that I was sort of like done with wrestling to a degree.
Paquette made her debut on Wednesday night during Dynamite which was held at the Coca-Cola Coliseum in Toronto. Now an update on another recent All Elite Wrestling debut. Before she signed with the company, Saraya was offered the position of WWE's on-air general manager, according to a report yesterday broken on Fightful Select. The story noted that Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis made the decision to release Saraya in June, which he then announced on social media. Before her non-compete ended, McMahon resigned from the company, and Paul Levesque's incoming regime reached out to the inaugural NXT Women's Champion. As the report notes, Levesque was, quote, shocked Saraya's deal was not renewed. The report also says that despite telling the former Page that the company would be open to medically clearing her, WWE refused to sign off on x-rays that could have opened the door for a return to the ring and ignored, quote, 3 extensive health checks, unquote, the wrestler attained in an attempt to come back. Saraya's in-ring WWE career ended in late 2017 when the former Divas champion suffered an impact injury in her neck less than a year after she had 3 screws surgically inserted. Fightful also reported that there were several factors as to why Saraya decided to sign with AEW, with one of the key ones being that she has more control over her outside-the-ring projects. 2 of AEW's annual themed episodes of Dynamite are coming to Texas in December, according to a press release from the company. The 3rd annual Winter is Coming edition of Dynamite is scheduled for the Curtis Culwell Center in Garland, Texas on December 14th, and the 3rd annual Holiday Bash episode will be presented the following week on December 21st at the Freeman Coliseum in San Antonio. Both previous editions of Winter is Coming featured an AEW World Title match, as well as a match for the Dynamite Diamond Ring. Tony Khan originally hinted about specialty episodes being brought to Texas in an interview with a Dallas area radio outlet last month. With a look at Impact Wrestling on Access TV, here's the Wrestling News' Lou Kipilman.
Bobby Fish had his first singles match in Impact during last night's episode of Impact Wrestling on Access TV. In a match taped at the Washington Avenue Armory in Albany, New York on Saturday, October 8th, the former ROH and NXT Tag Team Champion lost his in-ring debut, falling to Impact World Champion Josh Alexander. Alexander opened the show by calling out Bully Ray, who returned to Impact at Bound for Glory and won the Call Your Shot Gauntlet match. The champion questioned why Bully didn't cash in his title opportunity after Alexander defeated Eddie Edwards at Bound for Glory on October 7th. Alexander won the match in 12 minutes 47 seconds by way of a double underhook pile driver. After the match was over, X-Division champion Frankie Kazarian came down to the ring to congratulate Alexander on his victory, before vacating his title and challenging Alexander for the World Championship. In other results, Matt Cardona defeated Bhupinder Gujjar. In a 6-woman tag team match, Deonna Purrazzo, Chelsea Green, and Giselle Shaw defeated Taya Valkyrie, Jessica, and Rosemary. Trey Miguel defeated Alex Zane, Laredo Kid, Kenny King, Black Taurus, and Yuya Uemura in an X-Division scramble match. And in a no disqualification match, Killer Kelly defeated Tasha Steelz. Bullet Club member and former X-Division champion Chris Bay has signed a new multi-year contract extension with Impact, according to a story broken yesterday by Sports Illustrated. Said Bay to SI's Justin Barrasso, quote, "It takes time to become a top guy. That's what I'm pursuing now. I want programs with Josh Alexander, Eddie Edwards, Speedball Mike Bailey. I want to work with Impact legends. I am pushing to be the absolute best." End quote. As part of the deal, Bay will continue to be able to work for New Japan Pro Wrestling and is expected to be at Wrestle Kingdom in January. Bay has been with Impact since 2018. For the Wrestling News, I'm Lou Kipilman.
In ratings news, AEW Dynamite dipped below 1 million viewers this week, drawing an average audience of 983,000 to TBS on Wednesday night, according to Showbuzz Daily. That average is down from the 1.038 million who tuned in last week for Dynamite's 3rd anniversary episode. Wednesday's show, which served as AEW's first international event, drew a .32 rating in the 18 to 49-year-old demographic, translating to 417,000 viewers. That's down from last week's .33 according to WrestleNomics. The show ranked number 5 for the night on cable in the key demo, down from last week's number 2 rating, and came in at number 32 in overall cable viewership for the evening. According to Post Wrestling, in Canada, Dynamite averaged 86,000 viewers overall, the show's lowest number since September 14th. The program had the ratings misfortune of going head-to-head against a doubleheader of National Hockey League season-opening games between the Toronto Maple Leafs and Montreal Canadiens and the Vancouver Canucks against the Edmonton Oilers. Dynamite averaged 44,300 viewers in the 25 to 54-year-old demographic, which was also the lowest since September 14th. The program, which aired on TSN2, ranked 9th for the night in sports programming. With news from New Japan Pro Wrestling, here's the Wrestling News' Lou Kipilman.
The main event of New Japan's New York City event, Rumble on 44th Street, on October 28th in Times Square, will be IWGP World Champion Jay White and Juice Robinson, taking on the team of Kazuchika Okada and Eddie Kingston, according to a company announcement. This will be the first time Okada and Kingston have teamed. White teased animosity with Kingston during a promo on the October 8th edition of NJPW Strong. Also announced for Rumble on 44th Street was El Phantasmo taking on Shingo Takagi. For the Wrestling News, I'm Lou Kipilman.
And before we leave you today, we'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the Wrestling News 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The Wrestling News can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page. And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News podcast. And remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, for daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the Wrestling News across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the Wrestling News. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.